Hello and welcome to the inaugural show. Inaugural? First episode?
Inaugural. That's
The
a
pilot?
good word.
Pilot? Inaugural? First
Yeah.
ever
Pilot episode.
recording or podcast episode of the Fluence. This episode, we're just going to give like a interview with us. I'm Uncle Bonehead, and this is my distinguished colleague here,
Your protege.
protege, Alan Taylor, brilliant author, and you did win an award, didn't you?
I have won several awards for different things. I've written for journalism and fiction and different genres. So yeah.
So it's safe to say the award-winning journalist and author.
And best-selling author. You can say that too.
And best-selling author, Alan Taylor. Everywhere, people have always been banned from social media, shadow banned, blocked, deleted, accounts deleted. It's everywhere in the news, been in the news for the last probably 5, 6, 7 years, if not longer. And what we're hoping to do is to shed the light and make it a little easier for pretty much anybody and everybody to understand what exactly is meant by decentralized social media or crypto social media blockchain, Web3, NFTs, all of that, why it's important, and how to do it mostly, and how not to get suckered into doing some lame thing that's just going to end up stealing your money.
Yeah. How to get started, why you should be interested. You mentioned shadow banning. There's actually several issues. People have been deplatformed. We saw Donald Trump get deplatformed from Twitter. People have been demonetized on YouTube and other legacy platforms. And so, where do they go when they're deplatformed, when they're demonetized? Usually they go to another Web2 property, someplace like Gab or Parler or whatever. But those platforms have the same issues. They can deplatform you too. They say they won't, but they can. And so you don't really have the security that they promise you. And so we'll be talking about some of that stuff.
Yeah, it's important when you're going to some place and you're looking for something, say, you want free speech. It's one thing to say that you promote free speech. It's another thing to be able to actually ensure the free speech. It's I'm not giving credence or any kind of place for, the Nazis and racist people and all that to put their feet on. But, they do have a right to say what they believe. And it's up to you.
And the rest of us have a right to shoot them down.
Exactly.
That's the whole point of freedom.
Exactly.
That's the whole point of it.
You got to be able to have a free and open discussion. If you don't have that, you don't have a free speech. And it just becomes an echo chamber, whether it's left side or the right side. Echo chambers solve nothing. So, who am I?
Well, they boost our egos. That's good. They boost our egos.
Exactly. I'll do this real quick. Who am I? I'm Uncle Bonehead. If you've watched any of my videos or my podcasts over the years, you pretty much know who I am and what I do. That's enough said. Alan Taylor.
Great intro.
Well, I've always been on this search, I guess, to being decentralized for the last 3 or 4 years. And the last 2 years I've been on Hive, and it's been the most funnest and most entertaining thing I've ever done. And Hive has been like the perfect place for me. Um,
Good.
it's it's not any it's I've never been a real concise guy, as to wording things out, and most of my podcasts have been kind of, I consider them dull and lame, but, but there are people that actually like them for some reason or another. But Alan, you've done what, journalism for what, 15, 20 years, something like that?
Yeah, I'm a former newspaper editor. So back before I got online, I was a newspaper editor, journalist, and then I started my freelance writing business in 2006. So I still do journalism, but I also write marketing content for businesses. So I kind of mix it up. I have different clients in different categories. But I've been full time since 2006, and I've written a few books in that time. I've written fiction, and I've been published in fiction. So I've got a lot of different areas of interest, and I've been a creator in various mediums for the last 15, 20 years. I got a YouTube channel that I do with my wife, and so written books, I've written online content, I've written over 10,000 blog posts. So yeah, I've done a lot of different types of content creation, but primarily I'm a writer.
So you're no stranger to words.
I am not a stranger to words. Some
So-
words baffle me though.
That's true. The English language is very strange. I digress.
Very strange.
So that's so what we're saying is, you wrote this book called Crypto Social. I've been planning. I'll be honest. I've been planning on this podcast for about 6 months, and trying to come up with a format for it and everything. And then the way I met you was that I posted something on Hive, and you commented on the post, and saying, "Oh, hey, by the way, I wrote this book." And I was like, "Well, I'll go check this book out." I saw the title, and I'm like, that's kind of interesting. And I read the description of it, and I'm like, okay, I gotta buy this book and read it. And I bought it, and I read it, and I read it 2 times at the same time, because I would read a chapter, and then I'd sit there and thought about it, and then I reread the chapter again to understand exactly what you were implying. And I'm like, dude, I don't want this dude as an interview. I want this dude as a co-host. He can teach me a few things. Because
and I'll say you read fast too, because you bought that book and you like emailed me the same day, and you said, "Dude, I've already read your book. It's like almost 300 pages."
it was funny, because I bought it on lunch, and I started reading it on lunch, and I'm like, dude, I'm still supposed to be working for the day. And I texted the boss, and he's like, there's not really much left to do. Can you just, handle the phones in case somebody, calls? I'm like, sure, no problem. Nobody called.
Nobody called. Gave you plenty of time to read, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. So I read, and I'm going to read it again here this weekend. But in this book, you go through, was it something like 80 different crypto social media networks?
Yeah, I've counted. At the time that I published that book, there was over 80 different crypto social platforms, or some aspect of decentralized or federated social media. Not all of them involve a crypto component, but most of them do. I have since uncovered many more. There are over 100, and that's active. Those are active ones. There are some that have died.
Yeah.
and I'm not including those in that count, but more than 100 active currently.
Okay, so before we get too much further, we should probably explain what we mean by crypto social. Um,
Yeah, good idea.
crypto social is like a social media that is using a blockchain in some way. Like, for instance, Hive and Steam It. Every post on the social media sites, the front ends, are a transaction on that blockchain.
Yeah.
Other blockchains, I don't know how does like mines work? Does that's something where it's you get rewarded for somebody that likes your
Yeah, it's
post?
similar to Hive. It's similar to Hive. You earn Mines tokens, which are ERC20 tokens, because it's on the Ethereum blockchain. The way I define crypto social is I call it crypto social media because there is a social media component usually. Either it's social blogging or it's social networking or it's video sharing. It falls into one of the various social media categories, but they allow the creators and the curators on the platform to earn cryptocurrencies by interacting with the content on the platform, and that's the main distinction. Other types of platforms may be decentralized, but may not have a cryptocurrency component. And so I draw those distinctions. Not all of the crypto sites are decentralized, and not all of the decentralized sites involve some type of cryptocurrency. So they're different categories.
Okay, now I noticed I do remember you mentioned Mastodon in there.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with any kind of social media. I mean, blockchain. It's
No,
so,
yeah. Right.
but it is decentralized.
It's decentralized and what we would call federated. Um, and what's cool about Mastodon is it doesn't involve any type of cryptocurrency. So you're not earning uh, anything of value by using it, but there is a freedom component because you can set up your own social channels
Mhm.
and interact with people who have their own social channels uh, and post content that can't be censored by any one entity. Mastodon doesn't censor your content, so you can set up you can set up a social channel. Someone else can set up a social channel, and y'all can interact with each other. It's a pretty cool tool.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with the Fediverse. I was on the Fediverse before I came to Hive, and I'm still on there. Got two accounts actually,
Yeah, cool.
but but I've got a whole different opinion about the Fediverse than what a lot of people on crypto social stuff would have. I see it as a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. But it puts you right back into the same situation as being on old web too, because
Yeah.
you're always relying on somebody else with your data.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I know where you're coming from. It's not immutable, so you can put your content
Right.
on there. It's not immutable, so there is a chance that your content can be removed or jacked with uh,
Yep.
in some way. So yeah,
The only way I could see the Fediverse being completely as feasible as something like Hive would be if everybody hosted their own instance. You
yeah,
have to, and other than that, there's, people can't afford that. People can't afford it. They don't have the knowledge to do it.
right. And that's
So,
the kicker. There is a new social platform. Hesitate to call it a platform, but it's similar to what you're talking about. It's called Zion, and it's on the Bitcoin Lightning Network. And so you essentially rent a node, and you can set up your own communities and interact with other people in their communities
That's cool.
and send each other Bitcoin through the network. It's censorship resistant, censorship free, so you don't have to worry about being censored. Um, but I don't see it getting a lot of traction yet.
Right. Well, I will say one thing, what we're planning on doing with this podcast is we're going to do our best to make sense of decentralized social media. Uh, the distinction between what the Fediverse and Web3 is, um, and what we're not going to do is accept anything from some social media blockchain that comes up and says, "Hey, we'll pay you guys to endorse this." Um,
Right. Yeah, we're not
no,
shillers.
yeah, I'm not shilling your shit coin, as they say.
Right, right. Now we will be honest about what we see on the platforms, strengths, weaknesses,
Yep,
things like that. So, we're not going to hold back on that, but we're not, as Uncle Bonehead says, we're not going to accept payment to promote one platform over another.
yep,
He might have his favorites, I might have mine. And we'll talk about those. We'll probably disagree on some things. We'll agree on some other things. But we'll be open and honest about what we like and what we don't.
yep. And to do this, we're going to actually do 1 month reviews. We're going to actually use a platform for a month, and then we'll come back and give you our thoughts on it. The only problem I'm going to have is that I've been on Hive for the last 2 years, so I'm probably going to be a little biased and compare everything to it.
That's a natural tendency. When I started exploring other platforms, I compared them to Steemit because that's where I started. And then the hard fork happened, and now I'm on Hive. Um, Hive is essentially Steemit with a different name,
Yep.
but they did make some improvements, thankfully. So the developers they got rid of the bid bots that were present on Steemit and and that were very controversial. So there aren't any bid bots anymore, but there are other improvements technically. So like savings accounts from HUBD. So Steemit didn't have that. So I see it as an improvement over Steemit, but that's where it came from.
Right. So, that totally got derailed. I hate when it happens.
That's all right. You can catch the next train of thought.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Why are we doing this podcast? Because nobody else is. I mean, yeah, Scott Cunningham gets out there and Scott's huge. He lays it all out there on everything, but he's mostly talking about the cryptocurrency. He's not talking about the social media aspects of it. Like,
Yeah, he does sometimes. But he's not
yeah,
exclusive to that. He
right.
does talk about broader topics, and really, I like what he does.
Oh
He
yeah, I
does
love
do
Scott.
reviews. He does do reviews of the crypto social platforms. But we are a dedicated podcast to the crypto social space. So we're the only one, as far as I know, that is completely dedicated to decentralized social media.
The ones that crack me up are the ones that you see on Twitter every once in a while. You'll see a tweet you'll come across the world's first social media blockchain.
Yeah,
And it's like, no, you're
yeah.
not.
I guess you haven't been watching this space very long, have you? Yeah,
It,
I see it all the time. Is some upstarts as the first, crypto social or first decentralized social media. Then you look at them, and they're not decentralized. First
Uh-huh.
off, and secondly, if they were, they certainly aren't the first. So
Right. It's just cracks me up. The in addition to Crypto Social, you do a newsletter. It's almost daily. I call it
yeah,
Cryptocracy. Nearly
multiple
daily.
times a week.
Yes.
Hypocrisy, yeah.
And the other, I think it was probably 4 or 5 days ago from this recording, you had a link in there about a news story on Yahoo News or
Uh huh.
Yahoo Business, and they talking about the top five, competitors to want to be Facebook killers,
Right, right.
and they named Hive as number 5. And in their biography of Hive, they totally blew it, saying that Justin Sun was the one that researched it, and
Yeah, yeah.
and I
They got it conflated with Steam It.
yeah,
Justin Sun's not involved in Hive in any
no,
way.
no, but
Um,
finally, I tweeted about it that day, a couple of tweets, calling out Business and saying that a simple search in their very own search engine would have gave them the right answers.
yeah.
And yesterday, I think it was, I don't know if it was the people from Three Speak or Hive.io, whoever's running that front end. Somebody caught a hold of it, and now there is quite the thing out there on Twitter that I couldn't pull off, but they're pulling it off, and they're calling for Yahoo Business to do a retraction and actual follow up to actually do it the right way.
Oh, nice.
Make the
Yeah, I hadn't
corrections.
seen it.
And I
That's
literally
cool.
just saw this before the show, so by my doctor's appointment. But it is freaking awesome. Yes.
Yeah. Well, maybe they'll print a retraction. A retraction.
And-
Justin Sun has never been involved with Hive.
exactly. It's just, he did not rebuild it. He was the cause of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
But the other, that's the other reason is why that we're doing this. I'm digressing here. The other reason why we're doing this podcast, not just because nobody else is doing it, but because it is hard to understand exactly what needs to be decentralized. Is it the user? Is it the user's data? Is it the website? Is it the blockchain? What needs to be decentralized here? And
Yeah. Good point.
the good, on the Fediverse, the decentralization happens on the platform side because they're all spread out and interconnected. On the Web3 side, it's the blockchain and the way the front ends interact with the blockchain. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And then there's the user level where you're decentralized by being on multiple different social medias. And it just, to me, the correct answer is all of the above. Decentralize all of the things. That's
I
just
agree. Yeah.
the way that I think. But what would be cool, and I know it's in the works, is to have some way to have one digital identity, you, that you can log into all the different blockchains and all the, federated stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that you can run it
There-
all from one desktop app on your computer or
There
on
might
your
be
phone.
something like that someday. It'd be really difficult to pull off though, because
Oh,
you
yeah.
have different blockchains with different protocols. And if you have one universal login, it has to interact with every single one of those protocols. I'm not saying it's impossible, but there is a potential security issue in doing that. And so
Yes.
we probably want to be careful and do it slow and get it done right. So uh, I'm not a big proponent of rush jobs development. You know, you have these.
Uh,
I don't want to get impatient. You know, I let developers take their time because I think it's important to get it right than to get it fast.
yeah, I've been known to push some developers, like especially on a couple of you know high dApps, high front ends. Sorry, Oriole. I nagged them a lot back in the day. Uh, I I did break their server once, maybe
Oops.
two, maybe twice, but it was fun. Most recently, Bambuka, the developer of SuperHive, he's got me set up as an account that he could use to break stuff while he's doing development.
Oh, cool. There you go. You got your own little toy to play with, Uncle Bonehead. Come on. Break anything you want.
he he keeps threatening to change my avatar to a hammer on his Discord server
Nice.
since I
Then
break
you could
everything.
change your name to Thor.
There you go. Uh, how are we doing this podcast? We're going to do it right here in the Discord server. Occasionally, I thought maybe we could, maybe do a Twitter space, just to try to get some people out there. Yay, no.
Yeah, maybe.
Yes.
We can play around with the format. We might do special episodes in Twitter Spaces or something.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
we could try Clubhouse if I don't get kicked out of a room all the time. Uh, I did notice there's another competitor to Clubhouse called Breakout that's
Breakout.
got a cryptocurrency aspect to it. I did
Yeah,
not look into that.
there's also one called Audius.
Yeah, isn't that for music, or is that,
Yeah, it might be. It
or,
might be.
or am I thinking of something else? I don't remember.
It might be music. I was thinking it was sort of like Clubhouse. I'd have to go back and look at my notes.
That's another thing. We'll pick a platform or something each week. Go through and give our thoughts on it, and sign up for it, and see how it actually goes.
Yeah, play around with it and all that
It
kind of stuff.
should be interesting. See, where can you find this podcast? Well, you can find it on Apple, Google, Spotify, Overcast, Castbox, Radio Public, Stitcher, Pandora. It's in the podcasting 2.0 index already. So pretty much all of the podcasting 2.0 apps will get it.
Looking for that. Yeah.
um, pretty much anywhere free podcasts are sold. So, it's
Yeah, and we'll also be taking questions. So we wanted to do the live version so
yep,
anyone can show up in Discord in the Sound Lounge while we're broadcasting and send us a question through chat and we can answer it. So we're really looking forward to that aspect of the show.
Sound Lounge. I need to remember that. Well, I'm changing the name of that after the show. From the voice channel to Sound Lounge. I like that.
That's,
I get the
that's what
captain.
I've seen some of them called. I don't know if that's the right term or not.
My pin's broke. There we go. See, my pin broke?
Oh man, you're just all kinds of breaking things.
Yes, I am. Sound Lounge. That's a cool name. I like it. The you can contact us. We'll have these on all of the episode notes. Podcast at defluence.online. That's the email. Of course, you can hit us at Discord. My personal email, email at unclebonehead.me. Alan at tailoredcontent.com. And then my website and Alan's website also. There is, we're also on YouTube and Rumble. So we've also got defluence.locals.com. I haven't done anything with it yet, but that is a Patreon type site. So if you want to support us over there, you can do that.
I was checking that out. Is that they have coins? Are those cryptocurrencies, or are they just some type of token?
I think it's a token just for them. I don't.
It's not on a blockchain anywhere.
No, I don't think so. I haven't really dove into it to look, other than just when I just went over there to set it up.
I was trying to figure that out. I couldn't tell.
Do know that the guy that started locals.com is Dave Rubin, a big talk show libertarian guy. And he did it as a competitor to Patreon, was his purpose for it.
Oh, okay.
And it's tied into Rumble. So I don't know if there's like some business corporate friendliness going on there, but I know Dave Rubin's big on Rumble too. So anyways, we're going to have those links on all the episode notes, so you don't have to remember them or write them down now.
Yeah, just go to Defluence and copy and paste.
Yep, Defluence.
Or click the link.
We're obviously on Hive. As we're going into these other blockchains, I'll start throwing the show its own account into these other blockchains too. So, yeah,
nice.
Just, I didn't want to try to go through all of them at once, you know.
No, I hear you.
But there was something else I wanted to say. I can't remember what it was. Had something to do about the podcast itself.
It'll come to you in your sleep tonight.
Yeah, I'll remember it later. That's the way it usually works.
We can all be defluenced together. How romantic.
That's right. That's the other thing. What we meant by defluence. You hear everybody talking about influencers. I heard the term defluencer about a year ago, and I was like, dude, that is the coolest thing ever. And I've people that's followed me on Hive and Decentricast and stuff, they've heard me refer to myself as a defluencer several times over the last year and a half. And I'm sure they think it's something dumb that I came up with, but when you really think about it, the idea is to be defluence somebody, is to influence them to be decentralized.
There you go.
And
I like that idea.
That's what we want you to ask yourself, have you been defluenced? Or are you defluenced?
There's another connotation to that I kind of like too. And as you alluded to, all of these influencers out there are on Web 2 platforms, competing for audience attention. And to be defluenced is to come out of that ecosystem, that culture, and get into the Web 3 culture, where influence is not based on it is somewhat based on your personality, but you're not competing for everyone's attention. It's not the attention economy.
Right.
It's an ownership economy, and you can become an owner of your data, an owner of your content. You're not an owner of your content on Facebook, TikTok,
Nope.
Twitter. The platforms own your content. So you can be defluenced and take back control of your content, your online identity.
Right. It's exactly 180 degrees opposite of what the attention economy is, like what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
So it's, therefore defluence makes more sense to me.
Well, and I think it gets back to what the original internet was designed for.
Uh-huh.
It started out as a decentralized ecosystem or network of computer networks. Originally, the DoD set up the ARPANET as a decentralized infrastructure architecture, so that they could communicate with each other in the military and in the Department of Defense without, threat of their communication systems being taken out by the enemy during the Cold War, when that was a very real threat. So having that communication asset decentralized provided for greater national security. And then when the internet went commercial, it was still decentralized. It wasn't until Web 2 started picking up, in the late 90s, early 2000s,
Uh-huh.
that we had these big corporations started taking over the internet.
Thank you, AOL.
Yeah.
you
Well,
you got
AOL was the first. Oh my gosh, I hated AOL.
you
And
got
what they
mail.
did is they took the internet and they spliced it. And they basically, whenever you were in AOL and you were doing searches for AOL, you weren't searching the entire internet. You were just searching for content that AOL had pulled out of the internet and put into their system.
Yeah.
And that was it. So you were like in a bubble.
Almost like politics now.
Yeah. So,
You want to talk about these two news stories real quick? We got
yeah.
we're
Just knock 'em
38
out.
minutes in. Okay. FBI says, let me open the story. Come on. Where's the button? Open link. There it is. FBI says crooks are using these DeFi flaws to steal your money. Basically what this is that it's a smart contract, self-executing contract with the terms of the agreement between the buyer and seller written directly into the lines of code. Okay, my eyes are glazing over. Are you familiar with this story?
A little bit. I saw the headlines. I think I read the first story.
Of course, my neighbor's going to start mowing the lawn right now.
Oh yeah, I hate when they do that. Yeah. Oh well. Hey neighbor, don't forget the ditch.
Yeah. I'll try to see where it says the actual thing that they're doing.
So is it they're hijacking the code in the smart contract?
Yeah. It's because since it's written into the contract of the code, decentralized blockchain networks, cyber criminals seek to take advantage of investors' increased interest in cryptocurrency as well as the complexity of cross-chain functionality.
Ah.
So
So,
a U.S. penetration testing firm called Bishop Fox found that 51% of attacks on DeFi projects in 2021 exploited vulnerabilities in smart contracts, followed by platform protocol and design flaws at 18%. Most of the attacks were deemed unsophisticated, meaning they were easy.
yeah, they were easy to implement. Yeah, and essentially what that is, and I've read information on this in other places. Cybersecurity experts are saying that most of the development that is going on in DeFi right now, the developers aren't really taking the time to ensure that the code is secure. And so
You would think that
there's
would
so
be
many
the
experts.
first thing.
Yeah, yeah, you would think that'd be like top priority, but it's not, evidently.
That the here's some of the things that they're doing. Initiating a flash loan that triggered an exploit in the DeFi platform's smart contracts, causing investors and the project's developers to lose approximately $3 million in cryptocurrency as a result of the theft. Another exploiting signature verification vulnerability in the DeFi's platform token bridge and withdraw all of the platform's investments, resulting in $320 million.
Oh my.
And a third one was manipulating cryptocurrency price pairs by exploiting a series of vulnerabilities, including the DeFi platform's use of a single price oracle and then conducting leveraged trades that bypass slippage checks and benefited from price calculation errors to steal approximately $35 million. That's
Wow.
insane.
Wow.
Insane.
Yeah. There's a lot of that going on, and it just illustrates that um, crypto fans and enthusiasts, people investing in DeFi products, really need to take the time to analyze the platforms and the dApps that they're using to make sure they're secure, and don't just buy the hype.
Yeah. He's mowing. My nose is starting to stuff up already.
Oh, you got allergies?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too, man. I try to stay away from the lawnmowers.
Me too. The other story here is a cryptocurrency company accidentally transferred $10.5 million to an
Oh,
Australian woman and doesn't even notice it for 7 months.
7 months. Yeah, that was insane. It was crypto.com that did that.
Yep.
And yeah, they sent the money. What they were trying to do is reimburse her like $100 and entered the wrong
Oops.
account information and ended up sending her 10.5 million. And she transferred she gave some of that money to her daughter. She bought a house and gave the house to her sister. And then they froze her bank accounts.
Yeah. This is the
Crazy.
this is the part that doesn't make sense to me. I thought, according to banks, I thought that cryptocurrency isn't real money.
Yeah.
So why are they fighting so hard to get this money back to crypto.com? If it was just me or you that screwed this up, they'd be like, screw you. You're done.
Yeah. Well, actually, what I don't think it's actually cryptocurrency that was transferred. It was actual money, because the way crypto.com works is you buy cryptocurrency on their platform, but using fiat money. So you connect your bank account to the app,
Right.
and buy. And so they weren't transferring crypto; they're actually transferring Australian dollars to her bank account.
Oh. So
Yeah, and
that's
so
that makes sense now. Because
yeah,
I was like, the government's saying, well, cryptocurrency isn't real, blah 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 blah. And then all of a sudden they're fighting for the cryptocurrency, and I'm like,
yeah.
what?
See, I thought the same thing too at first, and then I read the article again and dove deeper into it and realized that they were actually sending her dollars, real fiat money. But still, you gotta wonder, you know, that kind of error, and it takes you that long to notice.
Uh-huh.
Why not just write it off as a loss then at that point? But
Right.
no, they're going to go after the lady and get it back.
Yep.
And the reason they can do that is because of banking laws.
Right. I totally get, you know, it wasn't her money. She shouldn't have spent it. But
Right.
if somebody accidentally gave me 10 million dollars, I'd probably, first thing I would do is actually call somebody and say, "Hey, did you mean to do this?"
All right.
Because
Yeah. Before you take this money out after I bought myself a boat,
uh-huh.
let me just see if you really intended to send this money to me.
Right.
Um, yeah, that's what we all should do if we find ourselves suddenly to be multimillionaires.
Yeah.
If we should stop to ask, hey, did this really happen, or was this supposed to happen?
Not just
Um,
not just sneak away with it and say, yeah, that's like here in town. Was it last summer? I think it was. Maybe it was early this summer. Some kid had a lemonade stand not too far from the grocery store,
yeah.
and she pulled down a couple $100. It was pretty good. And her mom or dad or whoever was going to the grocery store, dropped the money out of their purse, pocket, or whatever on accident, and some employee at the grocery store saw somebody else pick it up and cornered the person and said, "Hey, I know
Uh-huh.
whose money that is. It goes to this kid's lemonade stand." And the person just flat out said, "Fighters, keepers, losers, weepers," stuffed it in their pocket and took off. And nobody ever saw her again. So it was
Huh.
rude. You just robbed the kid. But the
Right.
community came out, and when everybody lined up, and she ended up pulling down like 2 or 3 grand the rest of the day. So,
Wow.
which was pretty good for a lemonade stand.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah. Well, those kind of stories are inspirational. If you're walking along on the sidewalk and you just happen to find, say, $100 bill, there's nobody around. You don't know whose it is.
Uh,
Uh, that's your lucky day. You just found $100. Okay, that's one thing. But if somebody sends you $1 million in a bank into your bank account,
out of
you
the
know where
blue.
that money is coming from because there's a record. There's
Uh,
a digital transaction, a record. The right thing is to do is if you know it's not your money, right thing to do is to ask.
yep.
Did you intend to send this to me? What is this about? Maybe you made a mistake
Who
because otherwise
knows?
it's going to come back and haunt you.
Who knows? They could have come back and said, "Hey, thank you for saving our butts. Here's 10 grand for helping us
Yeah,
be honest."
right. I mean, you could get a reward, and even if you don't, it's just the right thing to do.
Right. I
Um,
mean,
in the case of
what was
the
it?
lemonade stand, if that lady knew who that money belonged to, the right thing to do is to say, "Hey, you dropped this."
Yep.
you know. But if you don't know and you can't find out, there's no way to find out. Then I mean, what are you going to do with it? Well, I don't know who this is. Well, I'll just throw it in the wind
Right.
for the next person to grab. No, in that case, you can pocket it, but do the right thing is the point.
Yeah. This lady bought a 4-bedroom home for $1.35 million with that
Yeah,
money. A 4-bedroom house.
and then gave it to her sister, and then gave it to her sister. That's the crazy part. She didn't even keep it for herself. Gave it to her sister.
One thing I'd like to ask is, you Aussies down there, Gabe, I know you're listening. You're going to be listening to this. $1 million for a 4-bedroom house? I got a 4-bedroom house and I paid 75 grand for it. You guys are getting
Yeah, I would
robbed.
imagine real estate in Australia is fairly expensive. This was a suburb of Melbourne, so it could be similar to like parts of L.A. Where
True.
houses go for millions.
So true. So, is there anything you want to throw out there before we wrap it up?
Man, I'm looking forward to doing more shows with you and talking about, decentralization and social media, and why social media is moving in the direction that it's going, and where we see it headed. I think there's some exciting developments taking place
Oh, yes.
in this space, and yeah, I think the nature of social media is going to change in the next 10 years.
Absolutely.
What we see on Facebook and Twitter and TikTok, and you're already seeing it with platforms like Twitter embracing crypto. Um, in at least a small, very small way. But I think what we're going to see in the next 10 years is going to be super astounding.
Yeah, like Jack Dorsey. He's his little rant about the Twitter and the crypto thing, making it,
Yeah,
crypto. And he's describing it, this, that, and the other. And it's like he's describing Hive. I mean, everything he said was Hive.
right. Yeah. And I don't think I don't even know, I don't know if he knows about Hive or not.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure he doesn't have an account.
it's
Uh,
a big enough hashtag. They know what it is.
yeah, but
they they
his Jack
they
Dorsey is weird because he apologized. He said, "Do you see the tweet that he sent out? Saying I'm uh, I'm partially responsible for the web being centralized." Uh,
partially.
oops, sorry about that.
Yeah, sure. But they know what it is. They're the Hive hashtag's big enough that it's getting attention. It gets shadow banned. They call me Dan's been banned. Now Brian of London's been banned.
Yeah.
There's
Well, and
gonna
it could get worse. I mean, if the space grows and platforms like Hive become more popular, I would expect the legacy social media platforms to do more of the shadow banning. Uh,
oh
it's
yeah,
going to backfire on them when they do, because the more they do that and the more people see them doing that, then the more people are going to wake up and say, "Yeah, that's not right, and we don't support it." Yeah, and
absolutely.
then they'll flee those platforms and go somewhere else.
Yep, exactly. So you guys go visit defluence.online. Join our Discord over at defluence.online/Discord. Subscribe to the podcast, Apple iTunes. Wow. Show my age. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere free podcasts are sold. And we'll see you guys again next time. Don't know what the plan is on it, but we'll have a topic. I guarantee you.
Yep. We'll have us a planning session. We'll have us a boom boom Uncle Bonehead and Alan Taylor planning session,
There you
and
go.
then we'll let you know what it is.
Absolutely. We'll catch you guys next time. Be good.
Ciao, baby.